Hello makers and welcome back to Spectiva Studios. It's good to have you along. Now once again, this week we're going to attempt to create a 1 hour masterpiece, something simple yet fun and interesting that will look great when we put it up on a wall. And today I thought would work with strips of paper. Yeah, as a result of being a paper collage artist, I really like working with pieces of colored paper, it turns out. And I have a very simple project we're going to be working on today that's going to help us to create something interesting and yet not take a lot of time to get there. Let me share with you what the master plan is. So in front of me right here, I have a piece of my standard 18-inch by 24-inch heavy-duty watercolor paper. And I've gridded this out. I've created in the center here, based upon this, and again, we're dealing with 24 inches top to bottom, 18 inches side to side. So right in the center, I've basically carved out something that is 5 inches wide by 11 inches tall. And the reason it's 11 inches tall has to do with the fact that I'm using a standard piece of cardstock that is 8.5 by 11. So this is what I ended up with. So this is going to be kind of the extension of my piece. Now this is also a 1-inch wide piece, and as a result of this, I've made room here for 5 of these pieces that could kind of line up next to one another and fill in this square. Now, why am I doing all this? Well, what we're trying to think about here is how could I come in here and say if I put this piece in the middle, and I have other pieces that I've cut. Now, these other pieces that I've cut are varying lengths. And the lengths vary because, well, we want to have some variety here. We have some that are 3 inches long, some that are 4 inches long, some that are 1 inch long, etc. And what I want to be able to do is kind of build out a grid work in here that's going to give us something that's going to be interesting. We're going to use the white space behind here, right, the paper color itself, to also create some aspect of this and kind of pull these pieces together. Now, what I've decided to do is make this solid bar, which is 11 inches long by 1 inch wide, to be the central core of this piece. I want this to be something that we can use, and then we're going to put on different sides other pieces. And I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. So for example, let's say I come in here and I'm going to grab one of my 3-inch pieces. By the way, these have all been cut to be 1 inch, 2 inches, 3 inches, 4 inches, because we want this to look normal when we space them out. So if I come over here on this side and say, all right, I'm going to leave a 1-inch gap up here, and I'm going to put that 3-inch piece there, we can do that. Then what might we do? Well, I have a longer piece here, which I'm going to come in here and say, let's put another, actually we'll put a 4-inch piece here, and we'll put another 1-inch gap between them. Again, I'm eyeballing it initially here, and we could do something like that and leave a bigger gap down here at the bottom, all right? Now on the other side here, we could come in here, and again, I'm going to take this piece here, I'm going to bring it down, and again, I'm going to create a bit of a gap between these two. Bring it down here so it's about 1 inch at the bottom. And again, there's absolutely no right way to do this. What I'm really trying to do is eyeball this and get a sense of what is the good correspondence between the black colors and the white colors and the shapes and the space. And your eyes will tell you. Your brain is going to like, ooh, that looks good, or that doesn't look so good. And we can kind of work it from there. Let's say that over here on the right-hand side, I'm going to come in here and say, let's put a piece like this. And again, you can see we're kind of filling in the grid. I also want to take one of my 1-inch squares. I'm going to put it right up here at the top corner. And actually, let me make this a little bit smaller. There we go. All right. Now again, what we do with this is entirely up to us. What I've been thinking of course, again, is just creating kind of an interesting grid. It's almost like a pixelated 8-bit sort of image in a lot of ways, for those of you familiar with, like, you know, old computer games kind of thing. But again, what I'm looking for once the lines are removed as well is to have something that really has a pop coming out of the artwork. And again, this is not a hard thing for us to do. It really just takes a little bit of, cutting strips. And by the way, I created a video a couple weeks ago on how to create consistent sized strips of paper for work just like this. I'll put that at the end of this video so you can check it out. All right, now that we have our pieces where we think we want them to go, it's time for a glue down. I'm just going to slide these pieces out of the way here and grab this strip here. And let's make a little room down here on my paper. I'm going to try not to make a mess and get extra glue on things. But I want to get some glue onto this black strip. Make sure we get the edges. I don't want them coming up. And then it's going to be a matter of just getting this piece. And we're going to place it down here. And again, I'm going to kind of eyeball this. I'm fairly good at getting the distance between both sides. And if it's off by, a little tiny bit, it's not gonna matter hugely. There we go. And then it's just a matter of being able to line the other pieces in. Now, one of the things I will recommend when you're laying things out, if you get a configuration that you really like, is take a picture of it before you go wandering, because that way when you start moving pieces out, your brain's going to like, where does that piece go back to? So it's good to have that frame of reference if you're building something like this. Now, one of the things I can do is I can kind of use these 1-inch pieces I have as a little bit of a spacer. I can come up here and say, okay, I want to put this piece here and just kind of figure out what that's going to look like. I'm going to get some glue on this. Actually, I'm going to grab a little gluing sheet right here because, yeah, no sense in getting extra glue on things if we don't need to. Yeah, let's get that in here. Again, I'll get my spacer in place and just get this in nice and tight. And again, the nice thing about cutting these things all the same size, nice straight lines, is that it allows us to do just that. Okay. Now, I'm going to go on in that way. You don't need to watch me glue a lot of pieces of paper down. But when we get back, I'm going to talk about how we get rid of these lines. And also, I have an extra surprise that might be worth adding to our mix here. Talk to you in just a few. Welcome back. Now, as you can see, it doesn't take long to paste this up. We have things lined up pretty much the way we had laid them out. We're off our grid a tiny bit, but shh, don't tell anyone. Once you remove the lines, no one's going to know except for you. By the way, I'm going to be using my my electric eraser. I know it sounds like a goofy thing. I discovered this last year, and it's actually a very cool tool. It's USB powered, but it allows me to come in here and have much more precision getting rid of lines. Really, it's just almost use it like a pencil. And I can just come in here and say, I don't want this line right here, and work on it. And it's just a lot easier than going in, and especially when you're working next to other pieces like this piece of black, I don't want to scuff it up with my eraser and my, my aggressive manhandling of it, as it were. Now you also have replacement nibs. I have a bag of nibs here, we'll call them that. They're basically erasers, and I can take one out and I can put it into the housing. It's a little metal piece that comes in here. I just put it into the housing and give myself some eraser. Slide it into the end of here. I'm ready to go. And erase some more. And again, I may go over this a little bit later and just do a more precise job. But for the most part, I just want to kind of get the big elements, and it's possible that my eraser needs to be charged, which is something that never happened back in back when I was a boy, but it is one of those things that can happen from time to time now. So that indelicate shakeout. There we go. So there we are. So we have a pretty good piece going in here, and again, what you do with this is entirely up to you. Now I'm going to toss in a little variable here just to make things a little bit more interesting. And again, when we're thinking about artwork and the creation of artwork, we also need to think about how it's going to be presented. I'm going to put this on a wall somewhere. But also, what is that relationship between a viewer and the piece of artwork? And again, this is something that I think about all the time when I'm creating something, because I'm not creating art just for me. I'm creating art to share with other people. And of course, I could say, I'm going to put some paint on here and smear it around, and this is for me. Or I can say, I want to create something that other people are going to say, I want to hang that on my wall. Well, I'm going with the latter. And so one of the things I might think about with a piece like this is that it's very monochromatic, which is okay. Well, actually, it's dichromatic because we have black and white. But the truth of the matter is that it's by itself, it can be very stunning. But if we add just a little bit to it, we can make it a bit different. Let me show you what I'm talking about. So over here, I have a 1-inch by 1-inch square of teal. And if I just slide it in right there, guess what? We've created an interesting focal point for this piece of artwork, right? We don't have to say anymore. When anybody looks at this, their eyes are automatically going to go to this, one of these things is not like the other square of color sitting right there. Now, you could also dress it up a little bit differently if you wanted. I could take another color, another square, and put it up here perhaps in this space and be able to say, find the right piece that will fit in here. But the point simply is that we want to be able to say, is there something we can do? Now, I would encourage you not to overwork it. I'm going to say that I think one piece of color, and maybe it's something brighter like a piece of red or whatever, or yellow, something that really pops, could work here as well. But I like the idea of just putting a single color in here to really stand as the representation of colors outside of the black and the white. And again, there is no right way to do this. The encouragement here is that you spend a little time thinking about a project like this. Again, You can make it 4 pieces wide, 5 pieces wide, 6 pieces wide. Anyway, that's all I wanted to share with you this week. And by the way, if you like what we did this week, we do this every week. We're always creating new art. We're talking about art supplies. We're talking about techniques and tips and tricks and things you might want to learn with your own abstract art development. We'd love to have you as part of our growing community, so feel free to hit that subscribe button down below and hit that bell icon. Otherwise, we're not going to notify you when the new videos drop. Anyway, that's all I have for you this week. Thanks so much for being here. As always, I really appreciate it. I'm Spider, and I'll talk to you next time.